William, you consider me family, right? You said I was the only one you could rely on and even handed me the bills, remember? Ah, that. Just acting. I lied because I wanted you to pay. Figured you'd do anything if I called you family. William, my stepson, smirks as he says this to me, who came to visit him in the hospital. Ignoring my shock, Emily, his wife, laughs at me as if I'm a fool. So, you paid for the surgery and now you think you're some kind of hero? Don't flatter yourself. You really think that makes you family? It's clear. They don't consider me family. That alone is enough to make me feel down. But William throws more heartless words at me. You're not needed. You can go home now. I paid for the surgery, got no thanks, and now I learned that calling me family was just a trick to get me to pay. Emily's words, William's dismissal, it's all enough to turn my sadness into anger. I don't need to be family with people like this. Unaware of my growing anger, William waves me away. Don't ever show your face again. You're a stranger to us. We have no plans to interact with you ever again. Fine by me. I'll gladly cut ties with you. Great, that's what I want. Enjoy your lonely life then. I feel foolish for ever wanting to be family with these people. I regret being deceived and paying for the surgery, but I decide to consider it severance pay. If being family means being with people like you, I'm better off alone. Goodbye. I say this and leave the hospital room. My name is Laura. I married Owen, a single father in my late 30s. I used to live a life without much social interaction, but Owen taught me the joy of connecting with people. Therefore, when Owen asked me to marry him, I thought it would be okay if it was with this person. I thought that, even though we weren't related by blood, I could be a real family with William, Owen's son. But it wasn't that easy. Living together, I quickly learned how hard it is to close the gap with someone who won't open up. I had never raised a child. And William was a sensitive teenager when I moved in. I didn't know how to connect with him, and our relationship didn't improve. His answers to my questions were always short. Ah, yeah, whatever. Sometimes he'd even say, "Don't worry about it," curtly dismissing me. At that time, my priority was William, and I was desperate to deepen our relationship. I was trying myself down, rushing things. The person who eased my mind was none other than Owen. I sometimes wonder if I'm being a good father too, really. One evening after dinner, William quickly retreated to his room. When I expressed my concerns, Owen responded like this. Unable to hide my surprise, Owen gave a light laugh. To be honest, ever since William was born, I've never felt like a perfect father. But I've never been good at socializing, so even before worrying about being a mother, I don't know if I'm communicating well. Laura, just be yourself. There's no point in rushing. If you force it, it's not a real family. My husband is right. Forcing a relationship isn't the same as building real trust. So, let's take our time becoming a family. William is going through adolescence. It's a tough time. He'll get frustrated, but someday he'll understand. Yes, you're right. Thank you. My husband's words melt away the pressure that had been weighing on my heart. From that day on, I stopped trying to force a closer relationship with William. I noticed he was slightly more talkative when Owen was around, so I chose those moments to engage him. I think it led to more meaningful responses. but we never really got close. Eventually, William went off to college and never returned home. He would occasionally visit Owen, but never contacted me. He would tell Owen when he was coming, so I would prepare a feast and look forward to his return. But that joy didn't last long. Once William became financially independent, he began to scorn me, acting all high and mighty while living off Dad's money. The first time I heard those words, I thought I must have misheard. I never thought William would say something like that. He had never been honest with me, but sadly, I hadn't misheard. Every time he came home, he belittled me when Owen wasn't around. This continued even after he got married. His wife Emily even joined in. Guess you could only get a guy with kids, huh? How sad for someone so unattractive. Like William, Emily looked down on me when Owen wasn't around. In Owen's presence, she would only talk to him and William, treating me as if I didn't exist. I was already struggling with my relationship with my stepson, and now my daughter-in-law was treating me horribly. I was deeply depressed. But I couldn't talk to Owen about it. He was nearing 70 and battling lung cancer. I didn't want to add to his worries. Despite his fight, Owen passed away at 72. The words William directed at me in my deep sorrow were easy to despair over. Now that Dad's gone, you and I are strangers. He told me this matter-of-factly right after Owen's funeral, when the exhaustion of the past few days hit me all at once. Emily, standing next to him, said nothing but gave me a cold look. I can't believe, I managed to say, but received no reply from either of them. It's been a year since. I've had no contact with William and Emily. Having learned the warmth of being with people, I was stuck in a dark place, unable to move on from the loss of my husband and the shocking words from my stepson. Then one day, I looked at my phone after leaving it unattended for a few hours and saw a flood of missed calls. The caller was William. Seeing dozens of missed calls from my son, who hadn't contacted me in a year, I panicked and called him back. Hello, Mom. I've been diagnosed with lung cancer and need surgery. What? Hearing the same diagnosis as Owen, I was stunned. William's voice was weak, stirring my anxiety. When I found out I had cancer, I didn't know what to do, and then I thought of you, Mom. This coming from William, who had always despised me, was unexpected. He must have felt vulnerable. I quickly thought of the most reassuring thing to say. Don't worry, medical treatments are advancing. And you're only 35, you're young and strong. Trust your doctors and focus on getting better. Ah, okay, thank you, Mom. I felt a guilty sense of happiness that my son, who had always rejected me, was now relying on me in his time of need. And for the first time, William said, "Thank you," warming my heart. Emily is there for you, but if you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. I'll visit you in the hospital. Let me know your room number. A few days later, I headed to the hospital room William had told me about. It was a private room, spacious and likely expensive. How are you feeling? Thanks for coming, Mom. I was in pain right after the surgery, but I'm okay now. Though he looked tired, William smiled at me. After a brief chat about his condition, the conversation shifted to the room. I can't sleep well around strangers, so I chose a private room, but the cheaper ones were all taken. So you ended up in this big room, but at least you can rest. Yeah, but it's more expensive than I thought. Saying this, William handed me the bill. It listed surgery and hospitalization costs, along with the room charge, totaling over $10,000. William and Emily, who's a housewife, don't have much savings. Already physically drained, William looked emotionally strained as well, tearfully asking for my help. "Mom, I'm sorry for calling you a stranger before, but now you're the only one I can ask. Can you pay this bill for me? You're the only family I have left." "I understand. I'll take care of the bill on my way out, so stop worrying and focus on resting." I had been wondering how I could help ever since I got the call, so I immediately agreed to William's shaky request. "Really? Of course, you're my precious son, and you've been through a lot. Let me do this for you." I said this and paid the bill at the reception desk before heading home. I visited William again the next day, but my hope for another heartfelt conversation was quickly shattered. "Strangers are not allowed in here." As I entered the room, Emily, who had arrived before me, yelled this at me. From yesterday's interaction, I thought William considered me family. Surely, William will stand up for me. That's what I thought. But William, lying in bed, showed no sign of intervening. Growing impatient, I couldn't help but ask William, "William, you consider me family, don't you? You said I was the only one you could ask for help and even gave me the bill, right?" "Ah, that just an act." "I lied because I wanted you to pay. I thought if I called you family, you'd do anything for me." William twisted his mouth into a distasteful grin as he answered, "So, you think you're a lifesaver just because you paid for the surgery? Don't flatter yourself, that doesn't make you family." I realized I was still not considered family. That alone was enough to make me feel down, but William threw more heartless words at me. "You're not needed, you can go home now." Not receiving any thanks for covering the surgery costs, being told that calling me family was just a trick to get me to pay, and now hearing "you're not needed" from my son, all of this turned my sadness into anger. I don't need to be family with people like this. Unaware of my anger, William waved me away. "You don't have to show your face ever again. You're a stranger to me. I have no plans to interact with you for the rest of my life." "Fine. If that's how you feel, I'll gladly cut ties with you." "Great, that's what I want. Enjoy your lonely life then." I felt indifferent about my desperate attempts to become family with these people. I regretted being fooled and paying for the surgery, but I decided to consider it severance money. If being family with people like you is my alternative, I'd rather be alone. Goodbye. I left the hospital room. Despite cutting ties with my son and his wife, my heart felt lighter and more refreshed than it had in years. Then, a few days later, William called again. "Come to the hospital now." Even over the phone, I could tell William was extremely irritated. "You're the one who said never to show my face again, remember?" "Shut up, this is all your fault. They said I could finally be discharged, but then they gave me another bill. Why didn't you pay the full amount?" Apparently, William had no money and couldn't pay the bill. He thought he didn't have to pay anything because I had covered all the costs. "I paid everything that was on the bill you gave me. I don't see why you're complaining." "Then why do I have to be billed again?" An angry William continued to complain loudly. It seems he chose the expensive private room thinking I would cover the costs. "You said you'd pay for me once. Keep your promise." He insisted he shouldn't have to pay. I decided to give him a reality check. I agreed to pay for the bill you gave me. I never said I'd cover any future bills. Huh? He seemed not to understand, his voice tinged with anger. I explained so even William could understand. Hospitals usually bill at the end of the month. You were hospitalized at the end of the month, so the bill you gave me was for last month. The new bill is for this month. I never heard that. They probably explained it when they gave you last month's bill. You likely ignored it, thinking it didn't concern you. What? Did you know the bill wasn't the full amount? Why didn't you tell me? I was planning to pay for your discharge fees too, but I can't see myself paying for someone who isn't even family. Then come to the hospital right now and settle the bill. If you do, I'll consider you family. At William's words, I let out a deep sigh. How can someone asking for a favor act so arrogant? I was beyond angry. I was dumbfounded. I already told you, I'd rather be alone than be family with someone like you. Even after my firm refusal, William persisted. Are you sure? If you're not family with me, you'll be truly alone. No one will want to deal with an old person like you, and you can't even support yourself. What are you talking about? I've been working all along. Don't lie, you've been at home all the time. You've always relied on Dad's money, and you're still living off his inheritance. I was at home because I work from home. I'm a writer, you know. What? For a moment, William was speechless, but he quickly yelled, That's a lie! I've never seen you work. That's because I always stopped working to spend time with you, to become a family, but it was all in vain. So, you're really a writer? But you're probably not a successful one. I've never heard of any writer with your name. I publish under a pen name. Success is subjective, but I've certainly earned more than Owen. What? Faced with the reality, William was at a loss for words. After a long silence, I said, Are we done here? And was about to hang up. Then I heard William say, Wait! I was wrong. I always thought you married Dad for his money. I didn't know you were earning your own. That's good. The misunderstanding is cleared up. Goodbye. Wait! You're my lifesaver and my family. You can even live with me, so please help me. Who was it that called me a stranger and kicked me out of the hospital room? That was... I couldn't make out what William was mumbling, but I didn't need to hear it. You're the one who said never show your face again, and I have no plans to interact with you for the rest of my life, right? I am fine on my own, so you should rely on someone else who's unrelated to you. With that, I hung up. I ignored all subsequent calls from William and blocked his number. Afterward, William withdrew almost all of his savings to pay the remaining bills. He needed ongoing chemotherapy to prevent cancer recurrence, and it seemed his finances were getting worse. Emily lost her patience with him when the money ran out and apparently had an affair. Now he is in debt due to a divorce settlement. William is too busy with work and hospital visits to take care of himself, so in exchange for not demanding compensation, Emily takes care of household chores. Both are constantly irritated in a life without love or money, and it seems people are gradually disappearing from their lives. It's a fitting outcome for two people who easily called someone they considered family a stranger. As for me, I had been writing dark works since my husband passed away. But this experience inspired me to write a powerful new piece that's been well received by both editors and readers. I've regained the sense of purpose that I lost when my husband died. I plan to continue producing works that meet my readers' expectations.